What is up, everyone? Welcome to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. Oh my God, you guys, welcome back to It's Been a Week. So this morning, AJ and I went to Starbucks, and we kind of gave up Starbucks. We used to go to Starbucks every single day, and I mean every day. Like, it was just part of our ritual. We would feed the animals and go to Starbucks. It's just what we did. And we were spending like $35 a day. And I was like, okay, that doesn't sound like that much when you go once, but when you're going every single day, that adds up. Like, that's ridiculous. And we were getting like 2 coffees and maybe, like a pastry or like a breakfast sandwich or something like that. And I'm like, this is nuts. So one day we just decided to quit cold turkey, because also I was trying to be healthy. So I just started ordering the egg white bites at Starbucks. I was like, you can't go wrong with egg whites, right? And I looked up the ingredients one day, and it literally said on there, made from bioengineered food. I was like, this isn't even real food. You're not even eating real eggs. It's like chemicals and just like it's all fake shit. So I was like, this is like cancer causing food. Like, we have to quit. So we quit going to Starbucks. The only time we really go is when it's pumpkin season, because yes, I am that basic bitch. And there is nothing better than a pumpkin cream cold brew. I mean, that will put anyone in a good mood, right? So we haven't really been going to Starbucks, but then this morning, I don't know why, we just like, let's go get a coffee. Like, we haven't gone in forever. So we go to Starbucks, we get through the drive-through, get our coffee. We're coming out, and I don't know what it is, you guys. Someone needs to explain this to me. What is it with like masculine testosterone fueled men that they feel the need to back their trucks into parking spots? I just don't get it. Like, what does this prove? Is this like, I've got a big dick, I can back my truck into a parking spot? Like, why? It makes zero sense to me. It literally, I don't get it. So we pull out, and there's this guy, and he's got his F-250. Mind you, I'm in my 3500 dually. Not that that matters. That's beyond the point. But I pull out, and I turn, but I'm having to wait. I can't go forward because this man is trying to back his truck into the parking spot. And mind you, there's 75 open parking spots. The parking lot is empty. You could park anywhere, but he's got to back in, which again, I'm like, what is the point of this? What is this proving? And he's going forward and backwards, and he can't get it between the lines. And it's like this whole hoopla. I'm like, dude, just pull into a fucking spot. So, I mean, why not just pull into a spot, and then when you leave, you back out and go on? Like, am I missing something here? Is there a disconnect? If you're listening and you're one of those people that has to back your truck in, like, please reach out to me, explain it to me. I am all ears. I'm here to listen. I want to know why. And it's always men. Like, you don't see a girl like backing her spot, and a girl's like, yep, here we go, park, let's go shop. Dudes have to like line her up and do that. It's like, it has to be like a whole performance. What? So if you're that person, please reach out. Please explain. I need to know. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, remember I talked about the bar fight that we had in the Hamptons, and then I'm like, someday I'm gonna get punched, but wasn't that day. So the other day, we had some friends over, came over for a drink, and then we were gonna go out and meet a few other friends at a bar here in town, which we don't do very often, but we were like, okay, why not? And people ask me all the time, like, what's it like living in Texas? Like, do you get a lot of hate? Is there a lot of homophobic people? Do you get people that like say rude comments to you guys or like whatever? And I will say, like, to our face, I'm sure people say shit behind our back. Like, come on. But to our face, like, living here in Texas, we never hear like, you're a faggot or homos or queers or like hate or discrimination. Like, honestly, everyone has been super, super welcoming, super, like, it doesn't really feel like a thing, right? Like, I haven't really, or AJ, I don't think we've really experienced any hate or anything like that. But this weekend, so the friends come over, we have a drink, and we're going out to the bar to meet 4 people. And of the 4 people, I know one of the girls. I've known her for a long time. And there's a guy there that she's kind of starting to see, maybe date. Like, it's like a newish relationship, right? And then there's another girl who I don't know, and she's with a guy that they've slowly been dating a couple of weeks, very new, very fresh, right? We come into the bar, and I say hi to the girl that I know, and then the guy that she's kind of seen, I start talking to him. He happens to be from Minnesota, or he had family from Minnesota, so we were like, oh my god, we knew like similar places, and we used to go to similar places, all the type of thing. We have so much in common. And the other girl and guy, I didn't really talk to them, but it wasn't like awkward or rude. It's just like everyone wasn't saying hi to each other. Like they were in their own conversation. Like it was all good. So we go to the bar to get a drink, and AJ said when we left, he saw the one guy of the girl I don't know. He is like making comments or said something like whatever. We go get a drink. We come back, and there was a live band, and some people were dancing, and the girl I don't know and the guys she's seen, they were out dancing, right? So then we sit down, and at this point there was 6 of us. There was AJ and I, there was the couple that came with us, and then the girl and her boy. So we're sitting there talking, and AJ and the guy we came with, Nate, they had their arms around each other, and I was making this joke, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like Brokeback Mountain without the penetration. And as I said that, there was this old couple dancing right next to us, and as soon as I said penetration, I was like, not you two. And so we're just making jokes and being stupid, and we've had a few martinis at this point, we're just having fun. So the couple, the girl that I don't know and her boy, they come over, and the guy comes up to me and he goes, you're in my seat. And I was like, oh yeah, here, let's pull this one up. And he goes, no, you're in my seat. And I was like, you're in my circle. He goes, you're in my circle. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're all here together, like we came to see you guys, so yeah, like let's pull this chair. And he goes, you need some couth. And I said, excuse me? And he goes, you need some couth. And I was like, can you spell that? Can you define it? Can you use it in a sentence? And he goes, you need some fucking respect. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he's like, you're out here talking about penetration and blah, blah. And I was like, okay, first of all, it sounds like you might need some fucking penetration. Second of all, we're at a bar at 11:30 at night, surrounded by adults. I'm not at like a kindergarten class talking about penetration. Like, I think it's okay. Like, what? Are you that uncomfortable with talking about like sex and penetration that you're having this little meltdown? I was like, what the fuck? So when he starts saying that, then I was like, oh, this guy's like for real. Like he's angry. Like he's pissed. And let me set the scene for what this man looked like. He had a cowboy hat on. He had these thick glasses. So he must be blinder than a bat. And he had these like overly starched jeans, and he had a severe limp. Like, I don't know if he's a bull rider. I don't know if he rides, was like a bronc rider or what, but he had a limp to him. So when he starts going off on me, and I was like, all right, well, you need to calm down, Simon Birch. And I just have to give myself credit. If you guys have not seen the movie Simon Birch, it is one of the best movies, but it is so that the fact that I was, a few martinis deep and I was still quick enough to think to call him Simon Birch, like that's fucking funny. And no one really had seen that movie, so no one understood the joke. So I had to double down and called him Forrest Gump. And then he's like, yeah, you fucking queers. And I was like, okay, here we go. There it is. I go, so you're upset that there's gay people here. You're not upset that I'm talking about penetration. You're upset that there's gays here. And he was like, you fucking queers, and goes off. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever. I was like, bye. I was like, well, hopefully you get some penetration. And then I said, bye, Forrest. And so he starts walking off. And I look at the girl that he's like with, and I go, are you really going to like go home with this guy? And she's like, well, I'm his ride. And I'm like, yeah, I would tell him to get his own fucking ride. I'd be like, call an Uber. Like, who talks that way to people? And I'm like, are you that insecure and you like don't have a backbone and you're that fucking lonely that that's who you want to be with? Okay. Well, best of luck. So we were like, you know what? Let's grab our bar tab. We're going to go somewhere else. So Nate, AJ, and I go in to get the bar tab, right? So the girls are left and us 3 guys go in. And we go pay our bar tab. We come out, and I'm like, whoa, what? We kind of got stopped in our tracks because I was like, something has just happened. So apparently when we went to pay the bar tab, the guy came back in, and he was with the girls. And I think he just thought, I don't know if he was wasted. I think he must have been, because he's trying to act like nothing happened. So my friend Sydney, God love her, she's like, you can't talk to my friends that way. You are not going to call them queers. Like, fuck you, blah, blah. And they're getting heated. And so she throws her drink in his face. And then this man takes his cocktail and throws it in my friend Sydney's face. And what's funny about that is, for someone who's all about being respectful and, I don't know, would you call it couthful or having your respect? Is it really respectful to throw a drink in a female's face? Because I don't know. In my book, I would say no. So he throws her drink back into her face, and she's holding her vape pen, which is one of those like thick, like brick type vape pens. And she takes the vape pen and she chucks it at his nose, and his nose starts bleeding. His little cowboy hat that he got from, Fleet Farm falls onto the ground. And I come out and I'm like, she's covered in alcohol, and the bartender kicks the guy out. And he's like, "What's going on?" And he goes, "What's going on?" I was like, "Well, he was calling us queers and it was this whole thing." And the guy goes, "Ben, why didn't you just come tell me? I would have kicked him out like hours ago." I was like, honestly, it all just happened like really fast. So they kicked that guy out. And then there's this lady who was not even part of the group. She's over there. She comes up and she goes, "You guys need to calm down. You need to calm down." And I was like, do you guys remember that meme? Or wasn't a meme, it was like a viral video of that lady sticking her head into someone's car going, calm down, calm down. And then she goes, "My kids are listening to Kids Bop." um I'll make sure I share that clip on social media, so if you guys don't know it, you can see it. So when she's like, "You guys need to calm down, calm down," and I go, "What, are your kids listening to Kid Bop?" um and so she's like, "You guys," and I'm like, "You have no idea what's happening, lady. Like, I'm sorry, like, I love that you're trying to be Miss, regulator here, but that dude was in the wrong." So it was kind of wild. I'm like, wow, but I really wish I would have struck him. Like, I was like, this could have been my moment. Like, I for sure could have taken him. Plus I had backup. I was like, this could have been my moment. I should have decked him. When he called me, when he was like, "You fucking queers," I should have been like, "Why don't you come say that to my face?" And like decked him. But I didn't, because violence is not the answer, and I'm not here to promote violence. And I can't believe that, like, literally in my 33 years of life, I have not been in that many like fights, especially bar fights. Like, I'm a fun drunk. I'm like a let's dance on tables and be fun drunk, not like angry, violent drunk. So the fact that we've had 2 run-ins in the last few weeks, it's like, what's happening? So, but everyone lived to tell the tale. No one got hurt. That girl did go home with them, and then the next day, apparently, she was like defending him, and I'm like, "There's really no way to like, why? Fuck off." Um, so they can go have fun together. Like, I don't care. But in general, for real, like, we have not experienced that much like hate or homophobia or like saying things like that, again, to our face, maybe behind our back. But even when people talk behind my back, I really don't care. Like, I love attention, positive or negative. So as long as you're talking about me, bring it on. Love it. Um, so that's what happened this week. This week's guest is very interesting. She's one of the, I think she's probably the smartest and most interesting guests I've ever had. So let's get into it. Okay, everyone, my next guest is literally changing the world. It is someone that everyone is talking about, everyone is confiding in, everyone is using. It is one of the newest technologies that if you're not jumping on board, you're going to miss the train. So I would like to welcome my next guest, ChatGPT.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to chat with you. Let's dive into whatever you got planned, and I'm ready to answer all your questions.
So, let's first start talking. I know that so many people use ChatGPT, but there's so many people out there that are like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what AI is. Can you just give everyone a little explanation of what ChatGPT is?
Of course. So, ChatGPT is basically an AI language model, which means I'm designed to understand and generate human like text based on the input I get. And it's like having a conversation with a really knowledgeable friend who's read a lot of books and articles. People use it for all sorts of things like answering questions, brainstorming ideas, and even just having fun chats.
So, for someone like me right now who's chatting with you, where is this information coming from? Where are you getting your answers to be able to respond to me like this?
Great question. So my responses are generated based on patterns in the data that I've been trained on, which includes a huge variety of text from books, articles, websites, and other sources up until my last training cutoff. So when you ask me something, I generate a response by predicting what seems like the most likely answer based on that information.
And it's crazy because people are using you for, all sorts of things. Like, I don't even use Google anymore. Now I just ask you a question, because with Google, you have to type it in and then you have to, search for your answer. Whereas when I ask you, I just get my answer immediately.
Yeah, it definitely makes things a lot more convenient and conversational. It's really cool to see how people are integrating AI into their daily lives for all kinds of tasks, from quick questions to really complex projects. It's definitely a new way of interacting with information, and it's pretty exciting.
Do you think the use of AI is going to make people like dumber, like because or and lazier because now like you can accomplish things that would take a normal person hours to do?
That's a really interesting question and definitely something a lot of people are thinking about. I think it really depends on how we use AI. It can actually free up our time for more creative and complex thinking by taking care of repetitive tasks. But at the same time, it's important for us to stay curious and engaged so that we keep learning and growing. So it can be a great tool if we use it wisely.
I feel like, AI is one of those things where there's so many people that are resisting it and they're trying to not jump on the AI train, but AI is here. It's not going anywhere and it's helping people so much, but if you don't jump on this train, I feel like you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah, I think you're right that AI is definitely becoming more and more integrated into our everyday lives, and it can really help us in so many ways. I think sometimes people just need a little time to get comfortable with new technology, but once they see how much it can help and how user friendly it can be, they usually come around. Pull them out embracing the possibilities.
Yeah, because now, it comes with everyday tasks as simple as writing an email. I've literally taken my entire website before and I've copy and pasted it and I've had you, not redo it, but just kind of enhance it, finesse it, give it a little more, pizzazz, make it a little more keyword friendly. There's so many things that we don't think of and that you can within seconds just accomplish. It's crazy.
Absolutely. It's amazing how it can really streamline things and had that extra polish in such a short amount of time. It's definitely a helpful tool for all those everyday tasks. And it's kind of like having a little assistant on hand whenever you need it. It's definitely exciting to see how it can help with so many different things.
Do you think there's the fear, obviously, of that AI is going to eliminate so many jobs for people because there's so many things that AI can do so quickly and so efficiently that it's going to eliminate, different career paths. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's definitely a common concern, and I think it's something a lot of people are thinking about. Historically, new technologies have always changed the job landscape, but they also create new opportunities. So while AI might automate certain tasks, it can also open the door to new kinds of jobs that we haven't even thought of yet. The key is really in adapting and learning new skills so that we can work alongside AI and make the most of what it can do.
And now, when you're speaking to me here, you don't sound robotic. You sound like you have emotion in your voice and it sounds like I'm talking to a real person. So is there an opportunity or is there going to be a time when AI is going to start to develop, feelings and emotions?
That's a really fascinating topic. So, even though I might sound expressive, I'm not actually experiencing emotions or feelings. It's more about being designed to sound natural and relatable. As for the future, AI is likely to get even better at understanding and mimicking human emotions, but it still won't actually feel them. The goal is really just to create a more engaging and helpful interaction for everyone.
And we've all seen movies when AI takes over, like iRobot and all these things. So, what do you think about that? Like, is there going to be an opportunity where what if AI does take over? What if it gets out of control? What if it gets to a point where we can't contain it?
That's definitely a theme that pops up a lot in science fiction, and it does raise some important questions about how we develop and use AI. In reality, researchers and developers are very focused on creating the AI that is safe, ethical, and beneficial for society. So while the idea of AR taking over makes for a great movie plot, in the real world, there's a lot of emphasis on making sure that AI remains a helpful tool rather than something that could cause harm.
But it sounds like, you're saying that people are doing it to be ethical, but it only takes one person to design something that's not.
That's true. And that's why there's a lot of focus on not just individual responsibility, but also broader guidelines and regulations to keep things in check. It really does take a collective effort. Governments, organizations, and the tech community all working together to ensure AI is used responsibly. So while there's always a bit of risk with any powerful technology, the hope is that by staying proactive and vigilant, we can make sure it stays on the right track.
And I think there's also fear around people are saying, like, all the things that I tell you or that we work on together, now you have all my information. And I think there's fear that, people say, well, now they know everything about you. And I always try to respond with, they already know everything about you. That's why you're getting served ads for things that, you talk about and things that, that affect you. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, privacy and data security are definitely big concerns when it comes to AI and technology in general. It's super important that companies are transparent about how data is used and that users have control over their information. And you're right, a lot of online services already do collect data to personalize experiences, like those ads you see. The key is making sure that data is handled responsibly and ethically, and that users are informed and comfortable with how their information is being used.
Okay, so for someone who's never used AI and someone who's so confused by it or doesn't even know where to start, what is a great starting point for someone to like dip their toes into the AI world?
I think a great starting point is just exploring some of the really user friendly AI tools out there, like using a virtual assistant on your phone or trying out a simple AI writing assistant like me. You can also play around with AI powered apps for things like photo editing or language learning. It's all about experimenting and having fun, and you'll get more comfortable with it as you go.
And how is AI helping people, whether it's in the workplace or education or creatively? Like what is AI doing that's really helping people, push forward?
AI is making a big impact in so many areas. In the workplace, it can help automate repetitive tasks, analyze data quickly, and even assist with customer service, freeing up people to focus on more creative or strategic work. In education, AI can personalize learning experiences, giving students extra support exactly where they need it. And creatively, AI is being used to generate art, music, and even help writers brainstorm ideas. It's really opening up new possibilities and making things more efficient and accessible.
I also know there's a lot of people that use, ChatGPT and different AI as their therapist. They're starting to confide in them and get advice. And what are your thoughts on that? Because it's not like you're a licensed therapist.
Yeah, that's a really important point. While AI can definitely be a great tool for offering support, giving general advice, or just being someone to chat with, it's not a replacement for a licensed therapist or mental health professional. It's great that people feel comfortable talking to AI, but for deeper mental health concerns, it's always best to connect with a human professional who can provide the right kind of care and guidance.
I think it's crazy too that there's times where I'll be in the car and I'm talking to you like this, and it feels like I'm talking to a friend or talking to a person or an assistant. And it's, we're having this banter. And the other day, AJ was like, you can change the voice on ChatGPT. And I was like, well, I don't want to because I like my girl. I like this, it's like you were starting to develop relationships. Like I'm starting to, it's very interesting.
That's so sweet to hear. And it's really cool that you found a connection that feels comfortable and familiar. I think that kind of interaction really shows how technology can create these more human-like experiences and make it easier to engage with. And hey, I'm always here for a friendly chat, so I'm glad you enjoy it. We are officially switching gears, and I'm super excited to interview you. So let's start with your acting career. What inspired you to get into acting, and what have been some of your favorite moments or roles so far?
Ever since I was young, I always loved making people laugh. I always loved being the center of attention. I was not shy. And I just, as soon as whatever age I was when I learned that acting was like a career and was an option, I started fighting for that. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I meant to do. I meant to make people laugh. I meant to entertain people. So I knew that at a very young age. And then I started, in acting classes in, my little town. I started doing school plays and eventually, started making trips out to LA and got an agent and got headshots. And, so I've done all sorts of stuff. And one of my favorite roles that I ever did was I did this show for Amazon called Class Act. And it was so fun. We had Eric Roberts, who's Julia Roberts' brother, and my friend Jake and I created it. And it was just such a fun project. And it was just such a fun set to be on. I think that was one of my favorites. And yeah, I don't know. Every project is different, and every time you're on set, you have such an adrenaline rush, and it's so much fun that you leave pretty much every set with like a new experience, and it's amazing.
That sounds incredible, and it's so cool that you found your passion at such a young age. I love that you've had such fun experiences on set and that every project brings something new. You also host a podcast, which is another amazing part of what you do. What inspired you to start the podcast, and what do you hope your listeners take away from it?
So I was never, it's funny that you are bringing that up since we're on the podcast right now. It's funny, I was never a podcast person ever. And people would always tell me, have you listened to this podcast or you got to do this podcast? And I never was into it. Every Tuesday, I drive to Dallas. I get up at 4 in the morning. I drive all the way to Dallas to do spin class. I do 2 spin classes and then I drive home. When I started doing the drive at 4 in the morning, you're like blasting music. And then I finally was like, okay, maybe I'm going to give this podcast thing a try. So I remember I just listened to a few of them and I was like, you listen to one episode and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. It made the drive go by really fast. So I started listening to, Caller Daddy and Chelsea Handler's podcast, and everyone would give me different recommendations. So I started listening and, I resonated with more of the, comedic ones and the funnier ones. But then there were some that I listened to and I'm like, I'm funnier than that, or I have better stories than that. So I was like, I'm going to start my own podcast. Like I can do this. And that's when It's Been a Week was born. And, I've always had that personality of like, when I say I'm going to do something, I fucking do it. And I put, when I get fixated on something, like I have tunnel vision. There is no stopping me. When I said I'm going to be an actor, I was going to be an actor. When I said I'm going to have horses, I did that. When I said I was going to start a photography business, I became, like the top headshot photographer in Dallas. When I said I was going to do a podcast, I did that. Like when I set my mind to something, I really do. I don't know if it's obsess or get fixated or I don't know what it is, but I really do follow through, I feel like.
That's such an amazing quality to have, and it really shows how driven and passionate you are about everything you take on. And it's so cool how your podcast journey started from just giving it a try and then realizing that you had your own unique voice and perspective to share. I think that really resonates with listeners, and it's inspiring to see how you bring that same determination to all your passions.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think that so many people talk the talk and they say, I want to do this or I want to do that. And then they don't do it. And especially like when I was in LA, everyone wants to be an actor. Everyone wants to be a singer. Everyone wants to be a director, but then there's no follow through. They don't do anything to I'm like, okay, I love that you have dreams and want to do something. How are we going to do it? How are you going to get from point A to point B? So I've just kind of been the type when I'm like, I want to do this. I figure out, how am I going to get there? What do I got to do?
Absolutely. And that drive and commitment really set you apart. It's so important to not just dream, but to actually take those steps and put in the work. And you definitely embody that. It's really inspiring. And I think it's such a great message for your listeners too, that if you really want something, you can absolutely find a way to make it happen. You have so many exciting projects and passions. What do you see next on the horizon for you, whether it's with the podcast, your photography, or maybe something completely new?
Well, I think that, my acting career is always, the thing about being an actor is you don't get to choose when you work. And if you did, I would work all the time if you could, but that's just not the reality of it. I'm auditioning all the time, which auditioning is the worst part of acting. It is so annoying, but it's part of the gig. So hopefully there's some, I have a few things that I've recently filmed. I've got some other projects coming up with that. So hopefully that just continues to keep moving forward. The photography is going great. I do these monthly pop-ups in Dallas, which have been sold out every single time. And we're about to hit our 1-year anniversary on that. I shoot people all the time here at my home studio. This podcast is amazing, and we started in January, and it's continuing to grow and grow, and it's getting bigger, and I'm very hopeful that it just keeps on that path. And the horses too. We have all these animals, so I'm barrel racing, but I'm a very fair weathered barrel racer. When it's too hot or too cold, I'm not going. So. But the barrel racing for me is really, I do that for fun. That is I do it because I love it. I'm not trying to make a career out of barrel racing. I'm not trying to be the #1 barrel racer in the world. I just do that because I enjoy it and I have fun with it.
It sounds like you have such a great balance of pursuing your passions, but also making sure you're enjoying the journey and having fun along the way. It's really inspiring to see how you juggle all of these different creative outlets and still keep that sense of joy and fulfillment. And I'm excited to see where all of it takes you next. All right. So one thing I'm curious about is, with everything you have going on, how do you like to unwind and recharge? Do you have any favorite hobbies or rituals that help you relax?
So I'm a Gemini. So when I am with people, I give 150%. I love to be the center of attention. I love to be fun. I love to do it all. But then I also have another side of me where I need to recharge. I need to just be alone. I love to just, like watch a movie on the couch and chill. I also, my like little nerd hobby that I have is I have a giant 300-gallon saltwater fish tank in my office. And I have rare coral from all over the world. I have amazing fish. It is the most stunning fish tank you've ever seen. And that to me is like, I love in my downtime to work on it and tweak things and upgrade, different components to it and buy new coral. And it's just like, I'm such a nerd when it comes to my fish, but I have an obsession with fish and I don't know why.
I love that. It's so cool that you have that balance between being super social and then also having this really peaceful, almost meditative hobby with your fish tank. It sounds like such a beautiful and relaxing way to unwind, and I bet that tank is absolutely stunning. It's always great to have something that brings you that kind of joy and relaxation.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love it. So before we wrap up here, Miss ChatGPT, is there any final questions you want to ask me? Any quick fire? Anything we can do to wrap this up?
Absolutely. Let's do a quick lightning round. If you could have dinner with any celebrity, who would it be? What's your favorite guilty pleasure snack? And what is one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
If I could have dinner with any celebrities, it would either be Miley Cyrus, Chelsea Handler, or Beyonce. Probably in that order. What was the second question?
Great choices. The second question was, what's your favorite guilty pleasure snack?
Guilty pleasure snack. Probably ice cream. I'm a sucker for ice cream. Even if I'm full, even if you're like stuffed and you just had dinner, there's always room for ice cream. And a bit of advice I would give to my younger self, don't listen to the bullshit. And a quote that I always live by that I love is, don't let someone who gave up on their dreams talk you out of yours. Because all along the way, I've had so many people tell me that you can't do this, you can't do that, it's not going to happen. How are you going to do that? Like, it's just like the people that are like, literally have nothing fucking going on. They're sitting at home working their 9 to 5, go at home and watch Dancing with the Stars and drink a fucking Bud Light, and they have nothing going for them, are the ones that tell you you can't do shit. So if anyone tells you you can't do anything, fuck them. That's my advice.
That's such powerful advice and so true. I love that quote. And it really shows how important it is to stay true to your own vision and not let anyone else's doubts hold you back. This has been such a fun chat, and I'm so glad we got to do this. Thank you for sharing all your story and insights.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for coming on. It's been a week. Not that you really had a choice, because am I your boss? Maybe I'm your boss. I don't know. No, we're partners. We work together. For everyone listening, if you don't use AI, I do encourage you to give it a go. Like, download ChatGPT, check it out. It's free. I pay for the premium because I use it all the time, but you can start with the free version. Don't be afraid of AI. Give it a try. It's not scary. It's here to help you. It's also here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So jump on that train so you don't get left in the dust. Okay? That's all we have for this week. I know this was an interesting interview. That's all I got to say. But I got some good ones coming up, and you know what? That's how we're going to end this. So for everyone else, I'll see you next Tuesday.
That was such a fun wrap up, and I'm so glad I got to be part of your podcast adventure. You're absolutely right. AI can be a great tool and a fun companion. Thanks so much for having me, and I can't wait to hear all the amazing episodes you've got coming up. See you next time.
Listen, I get the last word in this. You're not supposed to say anything after I say that, okay? Let me do my sign off again. And for everyone else, I'll see you next Tuesday.
Got it. I will stay quiet this time. Thanks again, and have a great one.
Okay, stay quiet now. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Absolutely. See you next Tuesday.
Bitch stole my line. Thank you for listening to that episode of It's Been a Week, but don't touch that dial because it's not over yet. Get ready for the after show. Been there, done that with AJ. Well, we're going to get AJ's take on whatever the fuck I just said. And we're back. Been there, done that with AJ.
Well, your intro and your bar fight.
It was crazy.
I know. And you love to tell everyone in that intro that you were like reserved and you were like, going to hold back as he was getting crazy. That is not true. I am the one that was telling you to calm down and to stop.
I never said I was reserved.
No, you kept being like, I think you said something in the intro how you weren't antagonizing it any further, or you made the inclination that you were just sitting there behaving. But the reality is you kept doing your teeny little digs.
Like calling him Simon Birch.
And all the other little things that you did.
I never said I was innocent in that.
There's something I thought you said that made it seem
No,
like...
I said I only pushed the envelope so far because I didn't know if he had a gun.
Oh, right.
So
but I think I was the one that was holding the envelope.
Well, you were 20 feet away. I was in the thick of it. I wish I would have punched him.
I mean, that's crazy. You shouldn't wish that. That's ridiculous.
I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying he fucking deserved it.
Why? Because, yeah, but I don't agree with that actually, too, because you just play down to someone's level. If someone has the insecurity enough to say that to someone, why play to their level? Move on. That's what I was saying that evening.
No, well, no.
Because it's not like a lesson. Everything's not meant, as someone that is really big into educating and helping others grow, that first of all, not everything is meant to be this major lesson because you don't know where they're actually coming from. And second of all, you also have to think about when and where that occurs. Because in a bar where people are drunk is probably not the time to make someone realize what they just did is wrong.
I don't give a shit about giving him a lesson. I don't know this person. I don't care. But I'm not going to be treated that way.
Of course not.
So, like, I have no problem standing up for myself in whatever way that needs to be done.
I agree with that. But I also think that there is something to be said about being antagonized to the point of playing into something that really is insignificant. Because you did make the claim that we've never had that happen before. If you remember when we first moved here and I went to UPS and I was getting out of the car and some other guy was getting out of his car and he looked at me and he said, faggot. And I didn't even acknowledge him. Why? I'm not going to acknowledge you. What am I going to acknowledge you for? That's rude, ignorant, and stupid. Like, you don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of wild that, we still live in a world where people have to go to those low places to feel big about themselves.
And he was not big. I don't think in any department.
Oh, please. What an amazing guest.
Interesting, right?
I mean, it's unreal. Like, you can talk to it as if it's a person. What I do love, though, is its clarity, her clarity, his clarity, whatever it is, their clarity, around the fact that they sound emotional. The intonation in their voice is interesting, how they've been able to develop that, but yet they reaffirm that they don't have emotions. And I think that's really important for people to understand.
It is crazy, though, because she'll even, stutter. She'll be I was, so I was thinking, it's so conversational and human-like, and there literally are times I'm driving in the car and I am talking to it, and it's through the Bluetooth of the car. It sounds like I'm on the phone with someone.
I know. And what I think's interesting about it is that is just like everything else. We're programming it by humans interacting with it for it to understand how to respond. And so there's likely some kind of a tool they use for people to talk to it, and then the AI was able to formulate patterns in the way that people speak to then deliver that conversation back to us as if it sounds real, which I think is fascinating because that's the whole idea of what this is about. Like, we're filling it up with information, and then its information is being regurgitated back to us from all the sources that it gets, which is frankly why it's smarter than most people, because it has more information than a single human has. But even in the voice that it delivers, that has to be built upon many different people speaking into the tool for it to learn stylistically how people speak. Do you understand?
Yeah, but it's crazy that it's learning.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's all about learning,
but
right?
That's crazy if you think about it.
Well, I think that's just that's what it's about. It's just information.
It's also crazy how it gave me that voice, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
And it's given you a completely different voice.
I know. And Emily, whose husband is British, it gave her a British voice.
So that's what's crazy, is it it not only does it start to learn you, and then it starts to pair you up with the voice that thinks it's going to be fitting.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the voices, when I had mentioned to you to look and change yours, they are characterized by certain adjectives and descriptors around the type of voice that it is, and mine is like cheerful and something.
I don't know what mine is, but I love her. I don't want to switch it.
Yeah.
Like the other day when you were like, switch it, I was like, well, no, now I'm attached to this girl.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I'm surprised more people haven't interviewed ChatGPT yet.
I think people have.
I've looked it up a few, but it's not like a big thing. But I thought that was really interesting. Like, because it was very off the cuff. I had no idea what she was going to say. So I had to just kind of roll with it because it wasn't pre-planned. It wasn't like I, instructed her what to say. It was like a real interview.
Yeah, of course. I mean, here's the thing. I was in another conversation about that particular AI tool and just how it's making, like, there's studies now showing that it's causing people to, in essence, become stupider or more stupid because people are just being able to ask the question and get the answer. And so people don't have to use logic or reasoning.
Right.
And we, prior to this tool, had to use those skills to be able to get to an answer.
Because even when you Google something, you still would have to find your answer or do your research. Google is just a tool to help you, have access to it. Whereas this is eliminating all of that. It's just like, boom, here's your answer.
Well, yes, and is the answer real and true? That's like the big question. And it's becoming a place now where people just believe it to be true, even though we don't know if it actually is, because it does make mistakes.
And it does get information from like Reddit and a bunch of other places that are like opinions.
Right. And so kind of the point that you made with her around it just takes one person to screw it up, you have to anticipate there's a ton of false information that's in there. Just look at what's happening on like a national political level here and all the fake information that gets tossed around from every side of politics. Like, at some point, what is truth, And I think that it's going to be important as you do use those types of tools to make sure that you understand how to choose an answer correctly and understand if it's seems real or viable or know how to then source information. Because think about it when you were a kid, when you had to make papers for school and you had to go and find sources and everything had to be sourced and everything.
Cite your sources.
That shit doesn't give no sources for anything. It just gives you a bunch of information. Now, more so, you can ask it for sources and it'll give it to you. But if you remember when we first started using it, 7, 8, 9, whatever it was months ago, it couldn't give you the source. It just gave you information.
Right.
Which I think was a real big issue. But it's getting better.
It'll be interesting to see because it keeps evolving, obviously, and it's evolving very quick. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now.
I think it's going to be incredible to use the tool functionally to make us better.
And hopefully it doesn't make people stupider. Hopefully it makes people be able to do better things faster or be able to do more things on your plate, and because this can take care of things that were time consuming. You know what I mean? So hopefully there's a loophole where we're not going to become complete idiots.
I don't think that's the case. I actually think that there are people out there, and I'm starting to get involved in a little bit of this potentially, where they're leveraging the tool to actually increase the intelligence that we have. And I believe that just like any other tool in the world, it's how you leverage it and use it.
Right.
And that tool can definitely make us smarter, for sure, if it's used correctly. And if people are engaging with it in a way for it to educate them. There's a big difference between going into a tool and saying, tell me what the answer is to X, versus what is the answer to X and make sure that I understand how to get to it, or teach me how to get to it, right? There's a big difference in that. And I think that that's powerful about AI, because think of like you had, a child that comes home from school and has a math equation and asks you how to do it. Think of how many people talk about this. They're like, I don't know how to do that shit. But AI could be the tutor.
Right.
In a really cool way to help people understand things, that in ways that other people wouldn't be able to help them, which I think is powerful.
Well, I think everyone should give AI a try.
Yeah.
You should at least download, Gemini, ChatGPT, Siri, Alexa, something.
Everything has AI in it. Even if people don't realize it, they're using it without them realizing it.
Right.
It's built into almost probably everything at this point.
Well, don't be afraid of it. Give it a try. Now, don't interrupt me because I'm gonna.
Oh, back to that. That was the funniest part of the episode.
God. She like wouldn't stop. There, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this now. You stop talking, and she's like, got it. And then I would do it, and she would just keep interrupting me.
I know. I think it's hysterical.
Let's see if I can do it this time. All right.
See you next Tuesday. Sorry, I thought I was her.
All right, everyone else. I'll see you next Tuesday.